In April 2025, a monumental shift in global trade sent shockwaves through industries worldwide. The U.S.-China trade conflict escalated dramatically, throwing supply chains, production lines, and markets into chaos. But how did this trade war affect everything from consumer electronics to the auto industry? The United States dropped a bombshell on the global economy by imposing a staggering 145% tariff on a vast range of Chinese goods. This bold move impacted everything from the most basic consumer tech to vital industrial components. The results were immediate and catastrophic. Ports were backed up, major retailers struggled to adjust, and industries like automotive manufacturing were hit hard. But this isn't just another tariff. This is a seismic economic disruption, and the effects are still rippling through the global marketplace. Let's dive into the impact of these tariffs and explore what happens next. In early April 2025, the U.S. government announced an unprecedented 145% tariff on a wide array of Chinese imports. From smartphones and laptops to key automotive parts like sensors and wiring harnesses, the scope was massive. The move quickly sparked retaliation from China, setting the stage for a high-stakes economic standoff between the world's two largest economies. The repercussions were felt almost immediately. Major Chinese ports, including Shanghai and Guangdong, saw a 10% drop in cargo volume within days. The shipping lanes, usually buzzing with activity, came to a halt. Retailers, including giants like Amazon, found themselves scrambling to adapt. Some canceled orders outright, while others, like the discount chain Five Below, demanded their suppliers stop deliveries. Perhaps the most affected industry was automotive manufacturing, which depends heavily on Chinese-made components. With parts like sensors and wiring harnesses now stuck in ports or subject to price hikes, production schedules were thrown into disarray. The result? A breakdown in the just-in-time supply model that car makers rely on, leading to delayed deliveries, worker furloughs, and financial losses. But the tariffs weren't just about the immediate shock to the system. Experts on U.S.-China trade pointed out that China had been strategically strengthening its ties with other nations over the years, building a buffer against potential economic hits. As the trade war heated up, the pressure intensified, with China's ports becoming logistical nightmares by mid-April. Shipping traffic slowed to a crawl, with goods sitting idle in warehouses, unable to be shipped to the U.S. The auto industry wasn't the only sector hit. The retail and e-commerce industries faced higher costs as new tariffs were slapped on low-value goods, everything from car parts to LED lights, further squeezing both profit margins and consumer wallets. And this was just the beginning. As the crisis deepened, companies began scrambling for alternatives. Amazon, Walmart, and other major retailers looked to Southeast Asia, India, and emerging manufacturing hubs outside of China. The auto industry followed suit, with some manufacturers exploring options to move parts of their supply chains closer to home, such as sourcing components from Vietnam and Mexico. But shifting supply chains is no easy feat, especially when it comes to safety-critical parts. Certification and testing processes can take years, and the cost of reworking these systems is astronomical. The closure of the de minimis loophole marked a significant shift in the global trade landscape, compounding the effects of the already escalating U.S.-China trade war. Under this loophole, goods valued at less than $800 were previously allowed to enter the United States without incurring tariffs. This provision was particularly crucial for small businesses, e-commerce platforms, and individual consumers, as it allowed for lower-cost items, ranging from small electronics and accessories to auto parts and consumer goods, to bypass the heavy tariffs that had been levied on larger shipments. However, in the wake of the escalating trade tensions, the U.S. government made the decision to close this loophole, significantly impacting industries that relied heavily on the import of smaller goods. One of the most affected sectors was the automotive industry, where even the smallest components, such as brake pads, filters, sensors, and LED headlights, suddenly became subject to tariffs. These components, which are essential to the assembly of vehicles, are often imported in large volumes from China, and the tariffs were immediately felt by both manufacturers and consumers alike. This trade dispute isn't just about tariffs, it's about reshaping the future of global commerce. As companies pivot to new suppliers and industries adapt to the new economic reality, one thing is clear: the impact of the U.S.-China trade tensions will be felt for years to come. The question is, how will businesses and governments respond to this new world order, and what will the future of global trade look like? Stay tuned as we continue to track the evolving story of these economic shockwaves. What if I told you that a silent war is unfolding right now? No missiles, no tanks, just tariffs and digital currency, and it's shaking the global economy to its core. In a world already grappling with inflation, supply chain chaos, and digital transformation, the United States has just made a move that could change everything. Billions of dollars in trade with China have been canceled. Ports are overwhelmed, goods are frozen in limbo, and a new form of economic warfare is unfolding. Not with bombs, but with bytes and blockchain. What we're witnessing isn't just a trade war. This is a financial Cold War in real time. The U.S. has abruptly pulled the plug on over $2.8 billion worth of Chinese imports. As a result, more than 25,000 containers now sit abandoned at key ports like Shanghai and Shenzhen, massive hubs that have now turned into graveyards of global trade. This sudden rupture is due to soaring tariffs, with the U.S. imposing record-breaking levies on Chinese goods. American companies are scrambling, desperately trying to reroute supply chains through Southeast Asia. But the theory isn't matching the reality. Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia are already overwhelmed, their factories maxed out. Logistics costs are exploding, and what was supposed to be a plan B has turned into a logistical nightmare. But China isn't backing down. Manufacturers there have refused to lower prices despite mounting pressure. And Beijing has just unveiled a weapon far more disruptive than any tariff: ECNY, or digital yuan. This isn't just a virtual wallet, it's an encrypted, programmable financial system that could redefine the global economy. While the West argues about interest rates, China has quietly disconnected from SWIFT, the international banking network, and built its own, CIPS. As of now, nearly 40% of China's trade bypasses the dollar completely. From Argentina to Kenya, countries are beginning to settle major transactions in yuan. Southeast Asia has shifted over 33% of its trade with China into non-dollar currencies. In just 2 years, the yuan's global share has tripled from 1.9% to 6%. This isn't idealism. This is survival. The ECNY offers real-time payments, smart contracts, and transactions without middlemen. Between Hong Kong and the UAE, settlement times have been cut from days to seconds. CIPS is now processing over $83 billion every single day. China isn't just trading with its digital currency. It's building global projects on top of it. From high-speed railways in Laos to deep-sea ports in Pakistan, over a dozen countries in the Belt and Road Initiative now use ECNY. China owns the financial rails, the stations, and the trains. So here we are, caught in a silent economic war. One side is coding smart contracts. The other is rewriting tax rules. One is building a programmable economy. The other is slapping on century-high tariffs. But in this battle of financial dominance, the question remains, who's really in control of the world's money? And what happens if we lose that control? Don't blink. This isn't just another trade dispute. It might just be the moment the global economic order rewired itself.